Hey everyone, so I put this video in as a bit of an afterthought. You can skip it if you just want to get straight more information, but this is a little bit of like a fake client call that I'm acting out to give you a sense of how maybe you might use the phasing approach in an actual client call. Obviously, it's not real. I'm just pretending to be a client and pretending then to answer. And so lots of things are kind of silly or shortened or whatever, but maybe it still gives you a bit of an idea of the kind of talking you might do back and forth. So a couple things to bear in mind just while if you're watching it is the importance of letting the client talk at the beginning, explain their idea, rephrasing it back to them, emphasizing complicated parts, breaking it into phases for them, and then ultimately making a little bit of connection with them, getting them to stop talking and stop explaining their idea so you can actually get started, and then ending the call pretty quickly. That's kind of your goal when you first get in touch like this. So you'll see me talk a little bit about phasing in here, and in the next video, we'll get right back to the actual course content. See you then. Yeah, hello, this is Victor. Who is this? Hey, Victor. My name's Dave. I'm from Milwaukee. You're like a web designer, right? I was wondering if you could like help me with this idea I have. All right, Dave. Well, nice to meet you, Dave. Probably I can help you a bit. It's a little early here, so you have to excuse me. Can you tell me a little bit about the project that you're looking for or what you're trying to do? Cool. So, yeah, so I run like a warehouse business out here in Milwaukee. I've handed it down from my dad's dad. It's really old, and we haven't really updated the inventory system in a long time. I mean, we use computers, but they're not really all hooked up. And anyway, there's some competition in town, the like Great Better Warehousing Company, and they have like this totally digitized system. I heard we have an employee who used to work for them. They're real jerks, but they have like this totally system. You can log in online. You can see everything. They have all these charts, and he just said it's like way better than what we're using. So I thought we have to like update our system. We got to make this a lot better. We want to have like customers be able to see like shipments as they're coming in and as they're moving around. I want to be able to see it. We want to have like history of when things are leaving, when things are arriving, and make sure that the employees can scan everything and it shows up in the system and all that. So we just want to kind of overhaul a lot of this. And I figure tech today, that kind of thing, you can whip it together probably pretty easy, right? That sounds cool, Dave. I mean, I get the idea. It's a big project, or potentially it's a big project. But before I jump in telling you how we could do it, could you tell me a bit about how you're already organizing your inventory? You must be using something already to track it. Well, like I said, right now we're using this old system. It's the Track Inventory 2000. We installed it almost 20 years ago, and it's been great, but it's just text-based. It's like the blue screen all the time. We scan the stuff, it's in there. You can type some stuff, and information comes out, but I don't think it's really that modern. Okay, so it's something kind of old. Okay, I kind of get it. I can imagine what it looks like. So here's the different parts of the job as I understand it. We have scanning packages. We have storing all the inventory in a database, connecting that to some kind of interface in the warehouse, and then also for you at home and also for customers. So we need all these different admin logins and permissions and stuff. You also want like some data display, and it's all got to obviously be like really accurate because this is actually your inventory in the warehouse. We can't have this be incorrect. We also can't have it like go down, and we want to store over time. So as you can imagine, there's actually like a lot of different parts for this, all the way from scanning up to the actual visualization and the login, just what I said. So potentially it's actually pretty big. So I'm wondering, do you have like a budget in mind, or do you know also like your timeline a little? Well, budget and time. I want it to be done as soon as we can. I want to switch this over right away. For budget, I was kind of hoping we could do like a few $1,000s. I don't really know what this kind of thing costs. Just as soon as possible kind of thing. Yeah, typically as soon as possible. So, okay. Well, thanks for all the information. So I can break it down for you a little, just so you can get a handle on it overall to see how we could approach it. Like I said before, this is potentially quite a big project, and your budget is actually fairly small for what you're looking to do. So I think what we want to do is try to really stay organized, leverage what we can, and get you something so that you can see if you really want to go like all the way with it. So I think all these different parts I mentioned before with the admins and the scanning and the display and stuff, I think really what we have to start with is just a really simple phase one where we're just going to research exactly what we need to actually do to make sure we know what we should build. So we're not like building the same thing twice because you already have an inventory system. And ideally, we don't have to change the inventory system. We could just hook that up, which would cut out like a ton of the work and a ton of the expense. So we could just focus on building like a web interface. But I don't know your software and the system that's already in place. They might have some kind of like add-on or plugin that will be able to make the database available to a web interface. But I need to spend a bit of time doing the research on that. And then also just to sit down and actually talk with you about exactly what you want to do. Like, what views do you want to have? What do you want to see? Who's really going to be logging into this on a regular basis? Is it just a couple clients, or is it like one really important client, or tons of people? And then we can really talk to everybody who's going to be involved and also get a really solid handle on what we're building. Okay, does that all make sense? Okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, awesome. So I think first we just want to budget, like just put aside $500 and we can just spend a few hours researching, talking, getting really organized, getting to know your system. You and I can get a chance to work together a little and make sure it's, we work well together. And then we can look at, how we're going to break it down in the next phase. I think there's basically two possibilities. One, we find out that you're in the great possibility that your existing database already, we can use it. And so we can just like rock right ahead and connect that to some kind of web interface and start building out the permissions for the logins and the data visualization and stuff like that. But if your system doesn't use that, then we either want to look at switching the systems or building our own. I'd probably recommend against building our own because it's a whole world of solutions for inventory management. But we're going to have to look at something there and figure out how we're going to deal with that in the first phase instead of just going straight to building the visualizations, right? Yeah, the existing system's working pretty good for what it is. I mean, if we could just keep that in place, that would probably be the best. I don't want to spend like tons of money on this, but and then we can really figure out where we want to go with the budget, what's the most important to you, and everything like that. Okay, that makes sense. I was really thinking like I'd really like to see a chart that shows how long a package stays, because for us it's really important like how long a package has to wait in our warehouse before it goes out again. And if I could just see that really clearly visualized. Awesome. Yeah, no, we'll talk about all that stuff once we actually have the basics going. We don't want to get too distracted now with all the details, but we'll talk about all that in a kind of call that we'll have. We'll take like an hour and we'll just brainstorm. You tell me all your ideas. Okay. Yeah, no, I get it. We'll talk about that more later. Okay. So what do you need? What do you need from me to get started? First, we just need to get into that research a bit. So if you can send me a bit of information about like what system you're using and if there's some kind of login that they give you for your account with them, that would be the best thing to start with. And I'll just start researching that right away so that when we have that conversation, say like later this week or next week, I'm like really prepared and ready to go. Yeah, I don't know if the system has all that stuff, but I do have this login. I don't know. I've never really looked at their online stuff, but maybe they have something you could use. I'll send that over to you, no problem. Basically, just look around on the internet at things like data visualization or warehouse websites or inventory management or something. Find a few pictures you like, a few things you like the look of. That'll really just give me some ideas. And then just, write down a bunch of notes to yourself about what you want. So when we talk, we don't miss anything. Just some really rough notes. It doesn't have to be all organized or anything like that. That sound good? Okay, no, that sounds great. So okay, Victor@appster.me. I'll send you that email and then wait to hear from you. Thanks very much, Victor. Bye-bye. Okay, thanks so much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.